Korea's anti-graft law takes effect. Major changes are about to be brought in the country, with some 4 million Koreans directly affected by the new regulations. Political wrangling between rival parties holds up a parliamentary audit for a second straight day. And Hillary Clinton strikes the first blow against Donald Trump in the most watched presidential debate in U.S. history. These stories and more coming right up.
It's 6 a.m. on Wednesday, September 28th here in Seoul. Thanks for joining us. I'm Hwang Ji-hye. We start with news on an anti-graft law that takes effect today. The law is aimed at clamping down on corruption in Korean society and opening up a new era of zero tolerance to irregularities among public officials. The government hopes the anti-corruption law, known widely as the Kim Yong-ran law, will bring more transparency to workers and officials in government, education, and media. Under the law, some 4 million people working within those sectors are banned from accepting meals costing more than $27, gifts exceeding $45, and congratulatory or condolence money over $90. Advocates of the law say the transparency will improve Korea's competitiveness in the global arena. But critics say implementing the new law may be easier said than done, and it may hamper the economic recovery. The leaders of Korea and the Netherlands have agreed to boost bilateral cooperation and strengthen their economic ties. The agreements were reached Tuesday during a summit in Seoul between President Park Geun-hye and visiting Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Song Ji-sun reports.
South Korea and the Netherlands have upgraded their bilateral relationship to a future-oriented comprehensive partnership. Adopting a joint statement, the two countries will hold high-level policy coordination meetings on a regular basis and set up a joint economic committee. At summit talks Tuesday, President Park Geun-hye and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte sealed 5 MOUs on stepping up practical economic cooperation between the two countries. The agreements, covering both the private and public sectors, are expected to further boost bilateral trade and investment, as the Netherlands is South Korea's third biggest foreign investor and attracts the most investment among the European Union nations. Seoul and Amsterdam have set their sights on fostering new industries like big data mining and analysis, and beefing up cooperation in the renewable energy sector. With Seoul vying to revamp its agriculture sector, the Netherlands, as the world's #2 agriculture exporter, will share its know-how in smart farming and training. With both having hosted international events like the Nuclear Security Summit, global issues were also brought onto the table, including North Korea's obsession with its nuclear program. Park called for a greater role for the Netherlands as a key nation in the region and said to enter the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member in 2018. Prime Minister Rutte pledged to do all he can and take a stern stance against North Korea's nuclear program. The two leaders also condemned Pyongyang's continued nuclear and missile provocations and agreed to work closely on strengthening international cooperation to denuclearize North Korea. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
And lawmakers from the ruling Saenuri Party continued their boycott of the parliamentary audit for a second day on Tuesday. They're demanding the National Assembly Speaker step down as tensions rise over a motion to dismiss President Park's choice for Agriculture Minister. Jim Yong Kim has the details.
The ruling Saenuri Party has submitted a formal parliamentary resolution calling for the resignation of Assembly Speaker Chung Se-kyun. The Saenuri chief on Tuesday lambasted Chung for the controversial remarks he made during a parliamentary session last week about sacking the newly appointed agriculture minister. He also cast doubt on Chung's ability to remain neutral in his post.
This person, Chung Se-kyun, has no intention of keeping his political neutrality as an assembly speaker. The recording has revealed his thinking.
The ruling party chief is referring to an audio recording of a conversation between Chung and a main opposition party lawmaker that was leaked Monday. In the recording, Chung is heard suggesting the ruling party offer a compromise on other controversial bills in exchange for the withdrawal of an opposition-led motion to dismiss the agriculture minister. The political tussle had escalated over the weekend after President Park Geun-hye vetoed the dismissal motion. The main opposition Minju Party of Korea urged the Saenuri chief to end a hunger strike he started Monday and come back to the negotiating table.
Party leaders usually start a dialogue to overcome gridlock, but all the channels for talks have been cut off as the ruling party chief is staging a hunger strike. We urge Chief Lee Jong-hyun to end his hunger strike and work with the opposition to resolve the confrontation.
The minor opposition People's Party echoed the view, adding that a hunger strike is not the right way for a ruling party leader to protest. The rival parties aren't likely to change their positions on the dismissal motion for the agriculture minister anytime soon, meaning the audit deadlock is expected to continue for some time. Jim Yong Kim, Arirang News.
A senior U.S. official says Washington plans to deploy the THAAD missile defense system to South Korea as soon as possible. Speaking at a congressional hearing on Tuesday, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for East Asia Daniel Russel said it was crucial to upgrade defense systems given the pace of North Korea's missile tests. On a related note, U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter has warned North Korea that any use of nuclear weapons will be met with an overwhelming and effective response. Carter made the remark during a visit this week to an Air Force base in North Dakota, which maintains an arsenal of nuclear missiles. His comments are seen as a reaffirmation of Washington's nuclear umbrella commitment to South Korea. The United States has, for the first time, blacklisted and filed criminal charges against a Chinese firm for assisting North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. The changes could make companies think twice about engaging in transactions with Pyongyang. Kwon So-ah reports.
The United States is getting tougher on North Korea's nuclear ambitions and those who support it. The U.S. Treasury Department has imposed sanctions directly on a Chinese entity, Dandong Hungxiang Industrial Development Company, and 4 of its officials. This following recent revelations that the firm exported materials that can help Pyongyang develop weapons of mass destruction, such as aluminium oxide, which is used in processing nuclear bomb fuel. Also, the Justice Department filed criminal charges against the firm for laundering money to evade U.S. economic sanctions. It alleges the firm conducted U.S. dollar transactions on behalf of North Korea's Korea Kwangson Banking Corporation. Back in South Korea, Seoul welcomed Washington's move.
By underlining the danger of conducting transactions with North Korea, the measure will alert third countries and contribute to enforcing the global implementation of the UN Security Council resolution.
Washington's latest measure has been supported by Beijing, which actively investigated the case with the U.S. According to a diplomatic source, China is expected to expand the scope of its disciplinary action to include government officials after the owner of the company, Ma Xiaohong, who is under arrest, confessed that dozens of officials are involved in their business. But China expressed its opposition towards independent U.S. sanctions.
I want to stress that we oppose any country enacting so-called long-arm jurisdiction using its own domestic laws against a Chinese entity or individual. We have already communicated this position to the U.S. side.
China's foreign ministry, however, stressed it's always making efforts on nuclear non-proliferation with relevant parties. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
It was one of the most highly anticipated political events in years. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump faced off in their first presidential debate on Monday night local time. Early data shows more than 80 million Americans watched it, making the debate the most watched in U.S. history. Hwang Ho-jun has the details.
Hillary Clinton appears to have prevailed in the candidates' first clash. After an intense 90-minute debate moderated by NBC anchor Lester Holt, A CNN ORC poll of debate watchers showed they felt Clinton won, 62 to 27%. Analysts have generally contrasted Trump's lack of substantive responses and defensiveness with Clinton's composure and ability to parrying Trump's personal jabs, interruptions, and falsehoods. For example, in a section on U.S. policy toward North Korea, Trump continued to argue that America's allies, including South Korea, are not paying their fair share for defense.
Just to go down the list, we defend Japan, we defend Germany, we defend South Korea, we defend Saudi Arabia, we defend countries. They do not pay us what they should be paying us because we are providing tremendous service and we're losing a fortune.
According to the Korean government, Seoul paid more than $850 million in 2014 to have the U.S. military in the country, which is around 40% of the total cost. However, when direct or indirect support, including tax benefits, are taken into account, the actual cost covered by South Korea is much greater, up to 70%. Clinton, on the other hand, stressed the importance of cooperation between the U.S. and its allies.
Words matter when you run for president, and they really matter when you are president. And I want to reassure our allies in Japan and South Korea and elsewhere that we have mutual defense treaties and we will honor them.
There were also some very heated moments on issues that have been contentious throughout the campaign. At one point, Clinton demanded that Trump release his tax returns, and he shot back by saying he would, as long as she releases her deleted emails, a reference to the email scandal that tainted Clinton's reputation. The last question was about whether the candidates would accept the outcome of the election. Clinton said she will, but asked for voter support, saying the election is about voters and their families, quote, and the kind of country and future you want. Trump's final answer? He wants to make America great again. But he did vow to support the outcome of the election no matter who wins. The second televised presidential debate is scheduled for October 9th. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
President of the World Bank, Jim Yong Kim, has unanimously been reappointed to a second 5-year term. In a statement released on Tuesday, the World Bank said Kim, who is a Korean American, was chosen by the bank's executive directors for a term that starts July 1st, 2017. Kim ran unopposed as the nomination period to lead up the multilateral development lender closed without any challengers coming forward. Kim has led the World Bank since April 2012. Preparations are ongoing in Korea as the alpine town of PyeongChang will play host to the Winter Olympics in 2018. Celebratory events have been held around the country, including a flash mob, a laser light show, and appearances by some sports luminaries as Korea turns on the countdown clock. Lee Ji-won reports.
With only 500 days left until the 2018 PyeongChang Winter Olympics, events are being held around the country to build excitement and reflect the organizing committee's determination to host a successful games. At one event at Seoul Station, people gathered and started swaying to the music as a giant flash mob started a performance. Participants danced to a remix of the Korean folk song Arirang with a driving backbeat and used their sports-inspired choreography to invoke the excitement of the games.
Just a few weeks ago, I hadn't realized how close we are to hosting the 2018 PyeongChang Olympics. But by participating in the flash mob, I could really feel the excitement. I want to do more to promote the sports festival.
I'm very honored to be able to promote this global sports event hosted in our country. And it's a really good experience for me.
Over at Yeouido Hangang Park, the PyeongChang Organizing Committee held the main event. Promotional booths were set up around the park with information and displays, including a virtual reality ski jump experience to help give visitors a taste of the sport.
I've only heard about the PyeongChang Olympics through the internet, but actually seeing related events make me realize that it's actually happening and that I should participate in promoting it.
And later at night, the ceremony began. With a laser light show in the background, the stage was filled with performances ranging from martial arts and cheerleading to Korea's traditional fan dance. A DJ electrified the crowd with his music, and astonishing fireworks topped it all off. After the performances, President Park Geun-hye offered congratulatory remarks via video.
국민 여러분의 관심과 참여가 모임으로써 평창 올림픽 성공 개최를 이루어낼 수 있습니다. 평창 올림픽이 지구촌 인류에게 감동과 화합의 축제가 되고 더 나아가 대한민국 도약의 디딤돌이 될 수 있도록 국민 모두의 열정과 지혜를 하나로 모아주시기 바랍니다.
And to top it all off, a host of VIPs was present to launch a 500-day Olympic countdown, including Lee Hee-bum, president of PyeongChang Organizing Committee for the 2018 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games, Olympic champion figure skater Kim Yeona, who is also an honorary PyeongChang ambassador. The festivities will continue through October with multimedia projections and concerts around the country to help the whole nation prepare for the global sports events. 이지원, 아리랑 뉴스.
And that brings us to the end of our newscast. We will be back with more updates at 8 a.m. Korea time, so do stay tuned and goodbye for now.